evening and welcome to this edition of News Leader. Today is Tuesday, January the 23rd, 2024. I'm Andrew Todd. In tonight's news, the Tullahoma Sports Council's Hall of Fame and Awards Banquet is just around the corner. You might want to avoid where Highway 41 and I-24 cross this week, and Coffee County Mayor Judd Matheny sits down with the Director of Coffee County Schools, Dr. Charles Lawson. We'll have all these stories and more on tonight's News Leader.
We teach Parkinson's patients how to move big and not let the Parkinson's slow them down. I've had patients I've treated in-house that could not even stand up, could not roll over in the bed, left the facility walking with a walker, have come back to us in outpatient and continued their big program and are now completely, handling life. The success of the program is just phenomenal.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Get ready to make a splash for a cause. The Duck River Watershed Society invites you to its third annual Spring Cleanup event on Saturday, March 2nd from noon until 3 at the Fire Lake Public Use and Boat Ramp area in Manchester, Tennessee. Be part of the movement for sustainability, health, and education for the Duck River, America's most diverse waterway, home to over 650 aquatic species and water supply for more than 300,000 people. Mark your calendars and register to meet us at River Forge Road on March 2nd. Let's clean up, team up, and make a splash together. Welcome back. The Tullahoma Sports Council announced the inductees nominated for the 2024 season. The nominees will be inducted at the annual Tullahoma Sports Hall of Fame and Awards Banquet to be held on Saturday, February 3rd at the D.W. Wilson Community Center. L&H Distributing will be the title sponsor for the event, with First Bank taking a significant role in additional sponsorship. The eventful evening will begin with a reception and silent auction at 5 p.m. The induction ceremony with reserved seating will begin at 7 p.m. The 2024 slate of inductees include Pat Welsh for his contributions as a volunteer and involvement with the Tullahoma Youth Wrestling Club. Mr. Welsh has also been involved with the Tullahoma Little League, Frank Mullins Youth Football League, and the Tullahoma Church League Basketball League. Pat has served as Tullahoma City Alderman, Tullahoma School Board member, and a member of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and Tullahoma Rotary Club. In 2017, Pat was inducted in the Tennessee chapter of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame and was named the Tullahoma Chamber of Commerce Citizen of the Year. In 2019, he was named the Tullahoma News Citizen of the Year, and in 2022 was inducted into the inaugural AAU Wrestling Hall of Fame. Scott Chastain for his involvement in Tullahoma sports and accomplishments as a broadcaster. Scott has been known as the voice of the Wildcats and Lady Cats for over 30 years. He is currently serving as Director of Communications and Media Relations and Sports Information Director at Motlow State Community College and has broadcast hundreds of Motlow State basketball games, as well as serving as Motlow Athletic Director for 2 years. He currently works with the Light Tube Sports Network, hosts a weekly YouTube sports show, Gold Ball Sports, and has developed a Spotify podcast, The Chastain Show. Scott has also served as the sports editor for the Tullahoma News, as a Tullahoma alderman, and was mayor pro tem in 2007. Jeremy Winters for his accomplishments in track and field at Tullahoma High School as state champion in 1991 for the 400-meter run with a time of 49.15 seconds, and as a member of the state champion 400-meter relay team with a time of 42.68 seconds. During his high school career, Jeremy was also a member of the 1990 state champion baseball team, and in 1991 was selected to the All-Mid-State football team for special teams. During his college career, Jeremy was the 1992 MVP for the David Lipscomb University track team, 1997 All-American, and two-time All-American at Harding University in 1997. Post-college, he competed as a para-triathlete, ranking in the top 10 in the world from 2013 to 2015, and was the United States National Champion in 2012. Jeremy is currently a professor of mathematics with the Department of Elementary and Special Education at Middle Tennessee State University. Edward Johnson for his accomplishments in track and field at Tullahoma High School as a state champion in 1991, for the 100-meter run with a time of 10.79 seconds, and as a member of the state champion 400-meter relay team with a time of 42.68 seconds. The 1991 Tullahoma High School men's 400-meter relay team for their accomplishment as state champions with a record time of 42.68 seconds. Team members were Jeremy Winters, Edward Johnson, Gary Campbell, and Matthew Work. The 1998 Tullahoma High School ladies golf team for their accomplishment as state champions with a two-day total of 316. Team members were Mary Elizabeth Bryce and Christian Lynn Nichols. Ms. Bryce went on to play golf at the University of Arkansas before graduating the University of Georgia. She currently resides in Atlanta, Georgia, where she and her husband are optometrists. They have one daughter, Sienna. Ms. Nichols went on to play golf at Middle Tennessee State University as the First Lady signee for the women's golf team. She and her husband, Matt, currently reside in Tullahoma with their children, Katie, Grace, and Jack. Ms. Nichols is heavily involved as a volunteer with Tullahoma City Schools and was voted 2022 Tullahoma City Schools Volunteer of the Year. In addition to the aforementioned inductees, the Sports Council will recognize Brinley Duncan and Lily Story again this year for their accomplishments as state champions in the 800-meter run. Ms. Duncan's time was 2 minutes, 24.31 seconds, beating her previous state record time of 2 minutes and 26.67 seconds. Ms. Story's time was 2 minutes and 20.30 seconds. Sponsorship opportunities are available now, but are quickly being filled. Members of the Sports Council will be reaching out to the community to fill the remaining sponsorship spots. Tickets for the evening's festivities will be provided to the inductees and their families, and remaining seats will be limited and offered to the public. For information on how you or your business can sponsor, or for information about tickets, please contact the Tullahoma Sports Council at tullahomasportscouncil@gmail.com. And after these messages, we'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Ringo. Here at Barkview Senior Living, they're human-friendly. That's why I love it here, and so does my senior human. When they want a bite, they get chef-prepared meals, and so do I. Movies in the theater, day trips, walks on the trail, and other senior humans to play with. The grass and the grounds are exquisite. It's everything my human needs to be healthy and active. Barkview. A Parkview Senior Living. For your dog's best friend, you.
Welcome back. Drivers traveling on I-24 in Coffee County should be aware of upcoming road construction activities that will have an impact on traffic. As part of the bridge replacement project on I-24 at State Route 2 in Coffee County, Tennessee Department of Transportation contact crews will shift interstate traffic nightly from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. local time, beginning Sunday evening, January 21st, through Wednesday evening, January 24th. During these times, traffic on I-24 will be shifted at mile marker 105 in both directions to the exit 105 ramps. In addition, Highway 41 will be closed in both directions. Drivers are encouraged to use caution as they navigate the traffic shift. Signage will be posted directing drivers through the work zone. This work is weather permitting. Should inclement weather or unforeseen circumstances delay this work, it will be rescheduled to take place at a later date. From your desktop or mobile device, get the latest construction activity and live streaming SmartWay traffic cameras at www.tnsmartway.com/traffic. Travelers can also dial 511 from any landline or cellular phone for information regarding statewide travel. As always, drivers are reminded to use all motorist information tools wisely and know before you go by checking travel conditions before leaving for their destination. Drivers should never tweet, text, or talk on a cell phone while behind the wheel. At the most recent Tullahoma Mayor's Quarterly Planning and Coordinating Committee meeting, TDAC Director Winston Brooks addressed the group about upcoming plans for economic development.
Winston Brooks, the Tullahoma Area Economic Development Corporation Director, and by that clock there, I got nearly 20 minutes. As Mr. Quick was saying, there's growth coming to this city and this region, and so there's a lot of people interested in investing in Tullahoma, so we're thankful for that. with that growth, there come needs. We are needing housing, commercial space, and property tax revenue. And so fortunately, we have a developer who has made a application to build a large development north of Lowe's. It's called Summerlin. This is 996 units. It's going to be a mixed-use development that will have single-family, multifamily, townhomes, and much-needed additional commercial space. So we're very excited about that. The TADC is facilitating the application for some financing, and that is in the process right now. Right now, the step that it's at is they're preparing what's called an economic impact plan. When that comes back, then our board will approve that, and then we'll take that before the two governing boards at the city and the county level. And so that is a great project. Totally excited. Like I said, it meets a lot of the needs for our community. And other projects that we're working on, one I'm very excited about for 2024 is a business retention and expansion program here focused on Tullahoma. And so I've met with Brian Skelton, and we're sort of working through that a little bit. We're going to start reaching out to some of the industry as well as our large businesses and just begin to kind of build those relationships and make them stronger. So I look forward to doing that, and they're great partners to do that with because everybody's got to have the services that TUA provides, and they do such a great job. I would appreciate that. Another exciting opportunity that I've been given is I've been named as one of the honorary commanders out at the base. This is a new program that Colonel Gordon has started. Some of my colleagues are going to join in on that, along with Stephen Crook and some other leaders in the community. That will officially kick off on January 19th. And again, it's about the relationship that we have with the Air Force Base and just becoming advocates for the base and creating a stronger, more resilient community that supports the mission of the base.
We'll be right back after these messages.
It's not invoice. It's not MSRP. It's not Christmas Day, although it may feel like it. It's the lowest prices in Middle Tennessee, period. It's a Stan McNabb Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram or Stan McNabb Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac before these prices are gone forever.
Welcome back. We continue with highlights from the recent Lunch and Learn from D.W. Wilson, where Sharon Repke talks about the history of travel air and how the beginnings of the annual Beechcraft fly-ins have ties to hippie gatherings.
Louise Staten was born on November 12, 1905 in Bentonville, Arkansas. And she has a lot to do with the museum. You're probably thinking I've never heard of her. Most people haven't. She graduated from the University of Arkansas. She held records for the following. The highest altitude on December 1928, she flew at 20,260 feet. Now, remember, they probably didn't have oxygen in the aircraft at those times. Solo duration, March 1929, she flew for 22 plus hours. Speed, April 1929, she flew at 156 miles per hour. She won the women's first air derby in 1929. The women's air races are still going on today. A couple of years ago, we were the next to the last stop on their circuit, and almost every single team came into the museum, which we were very thrilled. She held the record for refueling duration, August 1932. Light plane speed, 100 kilometers. East-west speed, 1936 in a stagger wing. She was winner of the Bendix Transcontinental Air Race in 1936 in a stagger wing. Her co-pilot's name was Blanche Noyes. And Blanche, I find when I look at all these stories, they all get sort of intertwined. Blanche Noyes' husband died in an airplane crash the year before the Bendix race, and he was in serial number 1 stagger wing when he died. The plane crashed in New York. It laid in a field for a number of years until somebody realized what it was. They pulled it out, brought it to us eventually, and we restored it, and that aircraft is in the museum. So we have serial number 1 stagger wing in our museum. They didn't know for sure if Blanche was going to be able to fly with Louise because of that, but she did. And they beat everyone in that air race by about 40 minutes. And she was the first woman to win the Bendix race. She passed away on November 9, 1979, so she died after the museum, and she's an important character in the story I'm about to tell you. And these folks are very important characters in our story as well. John and Charlotte Parrish. Did any of you know Charlotte? Or do you know John? John and Charlotte Hadworth. They have an aerodrome out on the property near the museum. And they entertained antique aircraft owners and pilots. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in just a little bit. But they hosted gatherings and conventions from 1963 to 1973. They donated the property that the museum sits on, and they have spent their lifetimes promoting and guiding the Beechcraft Heritage Museum, so we're very grateful to them. So I want to go to the next one. This is, I'm going to talk about a little bit before the museum started. 1963 to 73 was a time period the museum wasn't out there. Nobody had even thought about it yet. And I'm not sure I can tell you what all those buildings are even, but these were earlier pictures from that era. And I want to tell you a little bit about do any of you work at AADC, or did any of you work at AADC in 1963 or at that time period? Well, Arnold Engineering Development Center was here, and there were dozens of people that had old airplanes. Most of them were engineers, and they all had old airplanes. Not just Stagger Wings. They had Fairchild, Cessnas, Pipers, Charles, what other kind of aircraft, lots of other kind of, Charles Parrish is back there, and he was a young boy at that time. And they didn't have any hangars. The airport was not the way it was then. Nobody had a place to keep their airplanes, but John Sr. had hangar space, and he invited folks to come out and keep their aircraft out there at in his aerodrome area. And they all got together, and they had things called happenings. Now that was back in the 60s. Happenings were that was the key word, the buzzword, because it was kind of in the 60s and the hippies and all that kind of stuff. They didn't do hippie stuff, but they flew airplanes. They would get together and fly, and they started flying to fly-ins at airports in the area. And in one particular time, they flew down to Rome, Georgia. And there was a gentleman that saw him coming, and he said, that Tullahoma bunch is coming, that Tullahoma bunch is coming. Well, that kind of stuck. The bunch part of it kind of stuck. And they became the Tullahoma bunch, and they had bananas for their lapel pins and their patches because they were a bunch. Somebody asked them why they weren't a bunch of grapes, and they said, we don't want to be grapes, we want to be bananas. And they had, one guy was called the top banana, one guy was called the rotten banana, one of the ladies was the green banana because she didn't know how to fly. And I guess I should show you that. That's one of their jackets. You can see the patch with the banana. And the gathering, or the happenings turned into gatherings, and they had chili cook-offs. They dumped the chili in a big 50-gallon drum and stirred it with an oar, and they had chili cook-offs and did all kinds of fun stuff. And those events eventually turned into what we call Beach Party.
We'll be right back with more news after these messages.
We tend to lose our motivation when we have something that's chronic, but you've got to do what you can early on as you can. After I'd exercise like that, I would have a lot of energy to do housework or whatever I needed. Well, I would recommend it highly to anyone at any degree of Parkinson.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
There's a lot of talk about the risks associated with the COVID-19 vaccine, but the reality is, it's safer than going for a run. Give it a shot. Find a free appointment today at covid19.tn.gov.
Welcome back. In this segment of Coffee County Mayor Judd Matheny's Mayor's Message, Judd sits down with Director of Coffee County Schools, Dr. Charles Lawson.
Hi, this is Coffee County Mayor Judd Matheny again, and welcome to this edition of the Mayor's Message. Another super special guest, and a gentleman that I've really gotten to know better and better and liked more and more as I found out his depth and his breadth Got a lot of experience, not only in education, but also in the real world about things that I kind of have in common with me, outdoors, Alaska. A very rugged individual. I like him a lot. We're fortunate to have Dr. Lawson here, the superintendent of the Coffee County Schools. Been with us quite a while. And I'd like for you to tell us, Dr. Lawson, in your own words, what motivated you to be where you are today, and how did you start, and sort of, to become a superintendent requires a lot of discipline and motivation. So I'd like to hear, in your own words, kind of how you came to us, please.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I grew up, born and raised in Coffee County. I grew up in the Hillsborough area, halfway between Hillsborough and Viola. Graduated from Coffee County High School and went to college. Wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do, but as I went through college, I leaned more towards education. My mom was an educator in the Coffee County school system. So when I was trying to decide, I ended up leaning towards education. While I was working on my undergraduate degree, I got a job in juvenile corrections at a facility up in Murfreesboro, and that kind of sealed it. I really enjoyed working with the youth in the facility and spending that time with them. And so finished up with a degree in biology and a teaching certificate. I did what a lot of young people do when they grow up in a small town, is I moved away. And so I headed off to Idaho and started my career there. Met my wife there, and we both had a mutual interest in heading off to Alaska. So in 1999, 2000, we went up and taught in a one-room schoolhouse. So did all that kind of stuff. But once we had thought about just traveling for a while and doing different things, but as soon as my son was born, I felt the draw to come back home.
Yep.
And so that's what I did. And so I ended up back here, taught in Franklin County and Coffee County. But when my kids got a little older, I wanted them to have that experience, went back to Alaska. And then did that for a while in a native village on Kodiak Island. Then came back and taught in Tullahoma, and while I was in Tullahoma, moved into administration. It was something that I was curious to see what that was like. I wanted to see what that other part of the job was like, so I became an assistant principal and a principal. And I was the only job that I would have continued in administration for was the director of schools for Coffee County. I had a desire to come back to the same district where I went to school. My kids were going to school and that kind of thing. And when the opportunity came open, I applied and I was blessed to receive the position. And it's been 4.5 years now, and it is still a blessing.
Well, you have a very unique perspective that is very important for this county, and a lot of us have this too. We become a certain age and we think there's a lot better life out, somewhere else. And you can do well in other places and get experiences, but when you take it all into account, this is really a great place to live. And that's why it's very important for us to have great education systems, to have a great job base, so that our kids and our other family members can have a living here, even if they want to go somewhere else, so they have opportunities when they come back. Because this truly is a wonderful place, geographically, environmentally. The people are great. And we realize this, after folks join the Army, they move away to work, like you did, go to another state. Man, Southern Middle Tennessee and Coffee County are great places to live.
No doubt about it.
We are.
My experiences in other places, I was able to see what it was like. I lived in a place where I was in a religious minority. I lived in another place where I was in a racial minority, and it brought me some perspective that I didn't get growing up here in Manchester. But as I said, as soon as I became a family man, I knew where I wanted to raise my kids, and I came back home.
I lived in West Africa when I was 14 and 15, joined the Army early on when I was 17, and just ran, but I got to see so many things, and there's nothing better than this place. There really isn't. And so I share that with you. Very quickly, we've got about a minute or two. What do you like to do in the real world outside of your education job?
I like to travel. I don't do as much of that as I did when I was teaching because I don't have summer vacations. But I do enjoy hunting and fishing, and this is a great location for that. There's stream fishing, river fishing, lakes, reservoirs, and that kind of thing. And I enjoy hunting of various types.
we have everything but a beach right here, but a sandy beach,
right,
you know,
that's
in
right.
the ocean. We have, you know, multiple rivers, multiple lakes. We have mountains. We've got flatlands. That's why it's so great here.
Absolutely.
It really is. And so we'll always treasure it. It's very important. We have great men like Dr. Lawson to help educate our kids to prepare for the world that they're to face. And the county has to continue to prepare for that growth and have opportunities here as we grow, so our kids that we're teaching and we're raising have opportunities later in life, so that in 30 years they can sit in these chairs and reflect on the same positive things about life. So, Doctor, we appreciate you very
Absolutely.
much. Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
We will see you next week on the Mayor's Message.
And don't forget to tune in to this week's Living Show tonight at 6:30 p.m., Thursday morning at 9 a.m., and Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evenings at 6:30 p.m. On this week's show, John Rickman will stop by and give us all the details of Grace Baptist free dinner on Saturday. Tullahoma's Fire Marshal will give us an update, and we'll have highlights from the recent archery competition at Tullahoma High School. We'll have all that and more on this week's Living. And stay with us. We'll have your weather forecast coming up after these messages. Get ready to make a splash for a cause. The Duck River Watershed Society invites you to its 3rd annual spring cleanup event on Saturday, March 2nd from noon until 3 at the Fire Lake Public Use and Boat Ramp area in Manchester, Tennessee. Be part of the movement for sustainability, health, and education for the Duck River, America's most diverse waterway, home to over 650 aquatic species and water supply for more than 300,000 people. Mark your calendars and register to meet us at River Forge Road on March 2nd. Let's clean up, team up, and make a splash together.
Parkview Senior Living, active, independent senior living at its finest.
Welcome back. We'll take a look at your weather forecast at this time, starting with your weather history on this date. Our record high was in 1949 at 69 degrees. Record low was in 1936 at 1 degree. The average high for this day is 48, and the average low is 29. Rain expected for tonight with a low of 46. Rain expected for Wednesday with a high of 44, a low of 32, and that rain will continue through Thursday with a high of 55 and a low of 41. And that's our News Leader report for this evening. We invite you to join us each Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday evenings at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. for News Leader. Stay safe and have a great evening.